Alright, bro, hear me out. The whole goal of spiritual evolution requires the sublimation of sexual energy. Yes, sir, let me say that again. The whole goal and journey of spiritual evolution requires, yes, sir, requires the sublimation of sexual energy. And you might be wondering, okay, man, what the fuck does sublimation even mean? How is it so important to the spiritual evolution path? And what does my sexual energy have to do with that at all? Well, relax, man. Your boys better break this bitch down real quick like a brick for y'all. Sublimation, let's start off with there. This is the act of transmuting one form of a substance to another. One form of energy to another. Another word could be transmutation. But sublimation, specifically within physics, is going from the solid form of something to the gaseous form without going through the liquid. But sublimation in the metaphysical sense, especially when it comes to your sexual energy, is going from the gross or dense version of it, aka your seed and semen, to the highest form of it. In the Vedics, they call this Tejas. In the Taoist traditions, they call this Jing. It's not just semen anymore. It becomes spiritual power, spiritual vigor, spiritual energy. Your sexual energy is spiritual energy when it's used for that format, when it's used for that purpose. This is why it is a prerequisite. It's a requirement for one to actually not be a slave to the senses in order for them to finally transmute this energy, acting as a super fuel for their spiritual evolution. It doesn't matter what faith you are, it doesn't matter what religion you believe in, it doesn't matter what spiritual tradition that you're studying. All of them understand that a man who is tied to his carnal, base, animalistic nature cannot truly ascend on this human evolutionary journey towards the spiritual realms of reality, because they are stuck thinking about lower level desires. They cannot focus their attention, and in turn cannot focus their energy, because where attention goes, energy flows. They cannot focus it towards their evolution. They're focusing it towards their de-evolution. And that's what you see in the degenerate world right now, in the modern day world that we're living in right now. A degeneration of humanity and a de-evolution of the spirit. In the Vedic traditions, this is called Kali Yuga, where carnality and consumerism is at its all-time high, while spirituality and true beauty, vitality, and glory of the spirit of man is at its all-time low. But you have the chance, you have the opportunity, you have the wisdom, hopefully imparted on you by watching this channel, watching the main channel. If you tapped into the private Patreon community, shout out to the fucking private Patreon community. Look, man, before we get really deep into this topic, if you're enjoying these talks on this channel, on the main channel, then you're truly doing yourself a disfavor by not joining up to the private Patreon community, because within there, you'll get access to exclusive content that I'm not posting on here. I'm not posting on the main channel. It's only on the private Patreon community that goes in detail, in depth, to ancient texts, to things about your psychology, to things about esoteric, the occult, and your overall spiritual evolution, along with things that's going to help you on the physical realm of reality, as well as the mental when it comes to fitness, again, psychology, mental reprogramming, all that good stuff is posted in the private Patreon community. And also you get access to full guides that we drop on there, in-depth occult lectures, and most importantly, if you tap into the Philosopher's Circle, aka the highest membership tier within the private Patreon community, you'll be able to tap into our monthly mastermind live calls, where we're doing 2 live calls each and every single month. You hop on a call with me, as well as a community of like-minded men who are also on this path of spiritual evolution and using their sexual energy and sublimating it for that source of superfuel to get them to that point. Because you need to be surrounded by people who are also thinking on the same wavelength, also thinking about these same topics, who have the same purpose, who have the same mission of self-mastery. So if you're interested in stuff like that, man, check out the links posted in the pinned comment of this video, because within the pinned comment of this video, you'll also be able to find links to our other services, whether that be application forms for personalized coaching with me, one-on-one consultation calls, free community Discord server, weekly newsletters, all that good stuff posted in the pinned comment of this video. But like I was saying, for you guys out there who are watching this channel, watching the main channel, might be tapped into the private Patreon community, might be working on with me one-on-one, doing consultation calls, all that stuff, you understand that there's a deeper aspect to this human experience. You might have had a little taste of it with some type of transcendental wisdom that you got. Maybe from psychedelics, maybe it's from traumatic things happening, maybe it's from a book, maybe it's from a video, that something clicked in your mind, that there's a deeper experience to this reality that you have not tapped into yet. You might have got a little taste of it, but it's not truly a part of your being just yet. I'm telling you, you are going to be a part of the men on this path towards self-mastery that are going to help them attain true self-realization, that's going to help flip this whole perspective of the Kali Yuga, the dark ages of man, on over to the golden ages, the new renaissance. And the way you're going to do that, I'm not saying this is the only way to do that, but one of the key principles is to not become a slave to the senses anymore, to go beyond that, to transcend the animalistic mind. And the sublimation of sexual energy through practices like semen retention and celibacy is a key core component to that. This is why, again, all these spiritual traditions understood it to its T. That this is a driving force for man to elevate to these higher states of consciousness and go beyond just living in their mundane lower existence. Thinking about the three lower desires, the three lower roles, the three lower planes of consciousness associated with the three lower chakras. Only thinking about survival, sex, and status. That is what the main population and majority of people are thinking about. But by sublimating your sexual energy, which is, again, the guiding force, the generative principle, that the only reason I'm here, the only reason you're here, the only reason these trees are here is through that cosmic force. Once that guiding force is redirected back upwards towards your evolution, towards your elevation, instead of being released through nonsensical, instinctual desires that just feed into your animalistic state of mind, when that is done, you get to truly unlock new parts of your psyche, new parts of even your physical vessel, new parts of your spirit and soul that you never could have imagined before. You never could have imagined before. And this is what allows you to get deeper and deeper into your true essence, your true nature. You're peeling off the layers of the ego, the attachments, and all that stuff that blocks you from understanding who you truly are and what you were really brought here to do. That's what comes on the path of self-mastery. Actually controlling the senses, controlling the mind, and sublimating the sexual energy towards your evolution in life. And I just dropped a video on the private Patreon community talking about the three minds within Gnostic psychology. And within that video, I talked about how this perspective that the Gnostics have of the three minds of human nature, being the hylic mind, aka the sensual mind, the psychic mind, which is the mediator, the intermediate mind, and the pneumatic mind, which is the spiritual mind. All these things are a part of your psyche and a part of your human experience. But they know that the hylic mind is what everyone is trapped into. Consumerism, carnality. This is the lower chakras, the lower three chakras. This is what the matrix, the Maya, the illusion, the material world wants you stuck in 24/7 to keep you away from actually attaining true bliss. Why? Because true bliss comes from within. True bliss comes from within. They can't make no money from that. They can't keep you a slave off that. This is knowledge and wisdom, aka gnosis, that comes from within, that frees you from the bondages of the material world. They don't want you. They want to keep you in bondage. They want to keep you trapped. They want to keep you stuck in those lower states of consciousness. And I don't want to make it seem like this is evil, this is bad. This is just how the game is played. Within the Gnostic perspective, this is the demiurgic force, the force of the world, of the material world, designed to keep you stuck within the cycle of samsara, the cycle of reincarnation, the cycle of perpetuating in your lower self, in your lower existence. You're not supposed to kill the Hylic mind. What we're trying to do is make it a servant to you. Like Osho says, there's a good quote from him, the mind can either be a beautiful servant or a horrible master. It goes hand in hand with that Gnostic perspective of the Hylic mind. That is what's happening when you are actually transmuting your sexual energy and sublimating it to higher levels. And funny enough, within that video, we go more in depth and in detail to why the Gnostics even believe that sexual alchemy, sexual transmutation is the kind of key principle to get out of the Hylic mind, to get out of these lower states of existence, to get out of these lower states of consciousness. Sexual transmutation is that key that unlocks the door to the psychic mind, which we're not going to go into in detail. So if you really want to go get in depth with that perspective, go check out the Patreon. But that just gives you another idea of, man, this mind that I have right now, that the matrix is constantly attacking, my monkey mind, if you want to call it that, is non-stop wasting resources that can act as tools for my spiritual evolution. Sexual energy being one of the most important ones, if not the most important one. Because again, there's the only reason that I'm here, the plants are here, you're here, cosmic energy, generative energy. It's not just for sex itself, but sexual energy. The act of sex is a form of creation. And when you actually take that and don't waste it on a couple seconds of pleasure, but actually focus it towards being sublimated throughout your body, being sublimated throughout your psyche, being sublimated throughout your spirit, you unlock new doors of reality. You're no longer a slave to the senses. You're no longer someone who's subdued to whatever their emotions are pulling them towards. Oh, I'm mad. Oh, I'm sad. Oh, I'm horny. Oh, I'm this. It doesn't matter to you anymore because you become detached. The Hylic mind is not choking you out anymore. You're the one putting it on the leash. Right now, you're being leashed and walked around like a dog due to your senses, due to your dick, due to your lower level desires. Is that any way to live as a man? Fuck no. Fuck no. That's pathetic. That's embarrassing. I'm not trying to put anyone down. What I am saying is you have the potential to get you up out of that position as well. And that is through these practices of celibacy, semen retention, and actually sublimating your sexual energy towards higher pursuits. When you stop thinking so much with your lower head, aka your cock and balls, and start thinking with your upper head, your higher states of consciousness, you have different goals in mind. You have different pursuits in mind. Your only goal right now for most guys out there is to get in a hole. Yes, sir, let me say that again because that's a bar. Most people's goals, most men's goals in life is centered around getting their dick in a hole. That's it. That's the peak pinnacle of their life. If they get that, they are satisfied. Survival, sex, and status. And is that evil? Is that bad? Fuck no, it's not. It just is what it is. You wouldn't be watching this channel. You wouldn't be watching the main channel. You wouldn't be tapped into the private Patreon community doing consultations or in my personal coaching program. Anyone out there who's watching this stuff, if you did not realize that there's something beyond this. Again, I always try to say this. People, especially on this channel, are more psychologically and mentally mature, spiritually mature on their journey. Doesn't mean that you're better than anyone, no. But it means that you've done a little bit more progress on this path. Maybe it's due to past lives, I don't know. But this type of stuff clicks with you because you understand it, maybe because you've experienced it. That there's another layer to this life that far outweighs anything that the material, physical, and sensual can give you. There's a different type of joy and ecstasy that your 5 physical senses cannot register. Only your soul, your spirit can truly feel it from within. Do you not want to live in that state 24/7? Do you not want to operate in that state, making it your default mode? That's your natural default setting? Well, if you do, I'm telling you right now, as someone who's been on this journey for over 4 years, sexual energy, the sublimation of it, allows you to get to that point. Of course, just retaining your seed is not the end goal. I want to make that clear. I want to make it clear in all my videos about SR. SR is not the end goal. Semen retention is not the end goal. Getting to 100 days is not the end goal. Getting to 1 year is not the end goal. Getting to 1,000 days is not the end goal. Matter of fact, like I said before on this channel a couple videos back, retaining your seed is just step 1. It's going from a negative bank account back to 0. How do you take that 0 and make it 1,000,000? Sublimation of that sexual energy. You're finally not releasing it and wasting it. It's in your possession. You've cultivated it. Sublimating it is a whole nother step. And you have questions, okay man, how do I sublimate this? Go check out the full guide that I broke down for you guys on the main channel. Just type in how to succeed on semen retention. It's on the main channel, Full ID Fitness, because within that video itself, it goes in depth and in detail to all the different practices you need to pair along with this journey in order to truly transmutate this source of energy into a fuel for your spiritual evolution. From things like pranayama, physical outlets, spiritual outlets, having a creative outlet, figuring out your why, your purpose of why you are retaining. Just retaining itself ain't gonna fix your life, like I've talked about before. It'll give you the mental clarity, the physical vitality, and the spiritual connection needed to actually view your problems and actually go out and fix them, but it's not going to fix them for you. It's not a magic pill. But in order for you to even get to the points of the mental clarity, of the physical vitality, of the spiritual connection, in order to actually truly practice retention and celibacy for longer periods of time, which is where you actually be able to see these effects take place, you need certain principles and practices which are all laid out within the guide. And funny enough, within the guide itself, if you want to take it up to another level, there is the ebook, the free ebook, the Art of Retention ebook, that goes even more in depth, more in detail than the guide, the video guide itself. So check out the video guide, get the free ebook, the Art of Retention ebook within there. And look, man, if you can't read a book, if you're mentally fried out, if you just can't sit down and actually read it, don't worry, your boys got you covered, because if you go on the main channel, Full ID Fitness, go on playlists, there's a whole audio series of the Art of Retention ebook. So you can pop it in while you go on your walk, while you're working out, while you're just going about your day-to-day activities, and get up on the game and get up on the sauce. That's gonna help you truly elevate when it comes to this practice. And if you need any more help after that, check out the other services. Book a one-on-one consultation call with me. Apply for our personalized coaching program. Join the Patreon community so you can hop into the Philosopher's Circle and ask these questions directly to me in person, or not in person, virtually, through our mastermind live calls. 2 live calls each and every single month, man. Group chat too. We chop it up. We talk about all these things. But like I was saying, all these tools are right there for you to actually be able to practice retention properly, to actually see the benefits. And when you see the benefits, what are you putting the benefits towards? What are you putting it towards? Because true spiritual evolution isn't just about meditating in a cave, isn't just about being renounced from society, It's about figuring out who you truly are and what you were really brought here to do. Finding out your dharma, your destiny, and your spiritual duty that God, the universe, the divine brought you here to accomplish. We were all brought here as beacons of light to help elevate the consciousness of humanity from Kali Yuga, from those dark ages, on over to the golden age, a new renaissance. We all play a role in this. Some guy might be doing YouTube channel like me. You might be doing music. Some other person might be doing in art. Some person might be doing it in the medical field. Does not matter. Finding your true dharmic purpose is your road to self-realization. And if you're stuck in your lower states of consciousness because the sublimation of sexual energy is not occurring within your psyche, within your body, within your spirit and soul, within your essence, you're always going to be looking externally for dopamine, for pleasure that just blinds you and clouds your vision from what's your true purpose. Like I've talked about on this channel recently, forget about pleasures, focus on this instead. That's the title of the video. There's certain things that give you pleasure, aka dopamine spikes, but there's certain things that you can only find internally because the pleasure you find externally, it's emotion, it goes away, it's perishable. This is why all ancient teachings, esoteric teachings, occult teachings tell you to look inwardly. The Vedics, the Taoists, the Gnostics, the whatever, my bad, just blanked out. All these, the Buddhists, the Tantrics, all that stuff, tell you to look inwardly. Because inwardly is where you find a state of being. It's not emotion, it's imperishable. It's a state of being that you access. And that gives you euphoria, true fulfillment, joy. Not fun, fulfillment. Not dopamine, serotonin. Not pleasure, but joy. Not external, but internal. And one of the main things that we always search for externally as men, because the Matrix designed us to be slaves to the senses, is sexual release. It's a natural biological instinct in each and every one of us. I don't want to make you think that sex is bad. Sex has a time and place. Sex has a purpose. Yet man deludes that purpose to just gratify the animalistic side of him. And funny enough, animals even have mating seasons. They know when it's time to retain, and they know when it's time to go out and handle their business. It's man who has a free will to go out and either use this energy towards the upliftment of his soul or the degradation back down to his base level desires. Again, is it evil? Is it good? It is what it is. That's all. You have the conscious choice of making that decision for yourself. Are you continually going to be a slave to your lower level nature? Someone who is chained to the material world, chained to the body, chained to your emotions, chained towards your cravings? Or through these practices that we talked about within the ebook, within the guide, within the teachings I give to my people that I work with one-on-one, whether it be consultations in the private Patreon community or personalized coaching program, or you're going to take those teachings, plug them into your day-to-day life, so semen retention becomes a byproduct of just living, and then you'll uncover what that purpose is, what that dharma is. And when you're on that path, when you're following that purpose, other lower level desires are not going to mean shit to you. They're not enticing anymore. You've gone beyond that. You've matured past that. It's like a teenager that gets over playing video games finally. Someone who gets over just playing with dolls, action figures. You mature beyond that. You've gone to bigger and better things. That's what this journey is about. Most of the modern day men that you see out there, even the alpha men, the top G's, this and that, they're still children psychologically. They haven't matured on that level. They're still easy to manipulate and control. Give them a piece of candy, give them a piece of pussy, and that is their little, you can literally guide them towards a trap. You got their hands twisted behind their back. They're easy to manipulate, easy to control. The Matrix knows that, the mind knows that, the illusion knows that. Do you know that? I'm asking you. And you should know that because you're watching this channel and you're watching this video for this damn long. But what are you gonna do about it? A true masculine man is one who has spiritually evolved past that. Who doesn't seek pleasure, but seeks joy, seeks eternal peace, seeks becoming a divine vessel for God. And that's only done, I'm sorry to tell you, you can meditate in a cave for years and years and years and years and years. You can do all these practices, but without the true sublimation of sexual energy, your mind cannot tap into those states of consciousness. And I'm not just making this up. I'm not just trying to tell you this to just go out and do all these things I make videos about. I'm telling you because the greatest minds of this world, the greatest innovators, the greatest spiritual leaders of this world tell you this. And you can find it within the ebook itself. There's a whole section on ancient excerpts and historical quotes from people like Albert Einstein, Nikola Tesla, Isaac Newton, the greatest spiritual leaders of time, the greatest spiritual texts of time tell you stop being a slave to your sensual desires. In order for you to truly elevate and spiritually evolve and see the capabilities of what man has manifested within himself but has been hidden, you got to become a master of your own vessel. You have to go beyond the senses and tap into your spiritual senses, the super senses. Going from the conscious mind to the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind over to the super conscious mind. Tap into your sixth sense, your intuition, where God, the higher self, the inner guru, is guiding you towards glory, towards victory. All of these teachings tell you this in different ways, different languages, different styles, different metaphors, different allegories, different fables, stories, whatever it is. But your boy breaks it down to the simple essence. Spiritual evolution requires the sublimation of sexual energy. If you can tame the beast of lust and instead redirect the same energy towards your evolution, everything else becomes that much easier. It's like the final boss of a video game. It's like playing Call of Duty on expert mode, and then you start off playing on expert mode, and then you go play with your friends and they're playing on the easiest level. Nothing. You smoke them. You're so used to dealing with something that's much more intense. This path isn't supposed to be difficult, but it's not supposed to be easy. Especially it's not supposed to be difficult if you follow the overall designs and layouts and the systems laid out within the ebook, laid out within the full guide. But anything worth having value in life takes time, takes energy, takes effort to build. So for those guys out there who are struggling, who understand, hey man, I'm trying to tap into my higher self, my higher states of consciousness through this practice, yet I'm struggling, I'm slipping up, that's all part of the plan. That's all part of the game. Keep piecing up the wins over and over and over and over again until this becomes second nature for you. Am I telling you to become celibate for the rest of your life? Hell no. What I am telling you, as a man, you need to be self-mastered. You need to be able to control your own vessel. If something in the external world can grab your attention, cause you to become, literally black out your sense of consciousness, sense of discernment, and then you do things against your own spiritual evolution, self-sabotaging your own self, how can you operate, how can you expect yourself to tap into your highest potential? on the mental, physical, and spiritual realms. Not just the spiritual, but the mental and physical, which tie into the financial, which tie into the relationships, which tie into your social realms of reality, your business, all that stuff. How can you operate at that level, the highest level, to actually create what you were brought here to manifest? Like I've said before, all men are built to be alchemists. You were brought here with an inner vision given to you by God and given to you with this physical vessel, with the tools, with the type of brain to go out there and accomplish it, bring it out into the external world. How can you become a true alchemist if you cannot alchemize your lower sense of self on over to the higher sense of self? You can see this in the allegories of the ancient times. It's always some hero, which is you, defeating a dragon and getting treasure. Treasure is a higher self, dragon is your lower self. Think about it like that. You, the hero is you. The battle between the higher self and the lower self, it's not a battle, it's not a war, it's a game of tug of rope, tug of war. Right now, the pull towards your lower self might be stronger because the whole world is on that side pulling you. But God, the universe, the higher self, all that stuff is on your side when you start trying to pull towards the higher aspects of reality. It's on your team, it's on your side. I'm not on your side. Sorry to tell you that. I'm on my own tug of war kind of game going on. But the whole point of this video, this channel, the main channel, Patreon community, anything that comes up with this brand, this message, is to give you the tools to be able to access that activation point where God, the universe, your higher self is working with you. I'm trying to get you to that point. I don't know what happens afterwards. I'm trying to help you open the door. But once you get in the door, that is your journey. That is your destiny. That is your dharma that you need to find out and you need to accomplish. Just getting you from zero, from that negative bank account to zero, is step one. But step 1 to 2, layer 1 to 2, is actually learning how to use your mind and body as allies towards your spiritual evolution, towards your spiritual advantage. That's what sexual energy transmutation, sexual energy sublimation does for you. That's how you truly spiritually evolve. When the mind and body are working in unison for a higher goal, higher perspective. Your mind might be like, hey man, I'm focused towards this, but your body is working against that unconsciously. It's working against your goals. You need things to be working for you. You need to be flowing with the stream of the river, going with the grain of life, rather than fighting your own self each and every single time. And that's only done when you master the senses. When you say, shut the fuck up, I'm the one in charge. If you guys ever watch Captain Phillips, that little scene, the famous scene, look at me, I'm the captain now. That's what you're telling to the mind and body. That's what the soul and the spirit is telling to the mind and body. Because like I've talked about before, the analogy of the mind, body, and soul. Hold up. Cops out here, because I'm spitting game. But like I was saying, one of the analogies I always bring about when it comes to the mind, body, and soul is that the body is the car. The mind is the steering wheel, yet the soul and the spirit is the one who's driving it. That's what self-mastery is all about. But how do you turn on the car? You can have a car, you can be in the driver, you can have the steering wheel. What actually turns on the car and allows it to be navigated wherever the soul and the spirit wants to take you towards? That's self-mastery. What's a key essence of self-mastery? Sexual sublimation. The sublimation of sexual energy. That's the key to unlock your experience of life on the physical, mental, and spiritual. That's how you get the car moving. That's how you get the steering wheel to work. The car needs to be on. You going from zero or negative bank account to zero is like finding the key and finally putting it into the ignition, turning it on. Now where are you going to take the car? That's when sublimation and transmutation comes into play. Now you're driving it. Now you're saying, let's go north, let's go south, let's hop on the highway, let's hop on the streets, let's go get something to eat. You know what I mean? Now you're finally driving it. You're taking it for a spin. Going from these lower level desires, constraining you, on over to baseline, is just finding that key put into the ignition. Step one. Step two, let's drive, let's find that GPS, let's find that map where it brings us towards true fulfillment in life. That comes with sexual transmutation and the sublimation of sexual energy. That's where you'll really find what it is that you're really brought here to do. The true source of fulfillment that lies within. This is what spiritual evolution is all about. No longer looking for external means to give you pleasure, but redirecting that focus, energy, attention inwards to find that the joy that your soul has always been yearning for has always been within. And your job after finding it from within is to help other people find it within. Help elevating the consciousness of humanity in your way, in your lane, in your field. I'm telling you right now, self-mastery is the way to that point, but sexual energy is the fuel that will help that journey of you getting in the car and going to wherever it is that will make you truly self-realize. It's sexual energy. Cultivate it, transmute it, sublimate it to the highest forms. Stop being a slave to the senses and look beyond that. You are meant for more. It's Benny Boy out here in the field, in the flesh, dropping out that game so you guys can make these gains, and I'm out of here. Peace.